Oh, yeah. You know what time it is. What is going on, everybody? And welcome to the first episode, the first official episode of the Royal Rundown. I am your host, SERG VICENTE. Thank you so much for joining us. This is our new show. This is our new time. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, or should I say, my bad, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 9, 10. Y'all know how we get down. We're going to be doing this after NXT each and every week. We're going to have a great time talking all things pro wrestling. Again, for those who didn't see it, we're going to show you guys once again what is going on. I am Serge Sent of the Fight Podcast / the Royal Rundown. We are representing the Scrap News as well, man. Thank you to everybody who's watching live on the Scrap News' YouTube page as well as the Fight Podcast, man. We really appreciate you guys. We're doing something new. We're starting something fresh because, you know, one thing we realize is that, pro wrestling has been really fire recently. And I know it's not just me that notices it. It's one of those things that even as a kid, I was one of those that, I'm not going to lie, like I said, we liked it. It was The Rock, right? Attitude Era and stuff. But like most people, I kind of fell off. And I'm not even going to lie to you guys, I didn't fall off. I fell off. I didn't pay attention. But over the last year and a half, 2 years, man, I really started paying attention again. And when I used to talk a lot of trash, it's fun. It's fun. It is a lot of fun. And you know what? Now, the fact that they've kind of like pulled the curtain away and we know a little bit more about these people, it's a lot even more fun for myself. So great storytelling. It is like the best of every era right now. I'm loving every bit of it. So each and every week, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to go ahead and obviously talk everything pro wrestling. I'm going to have guests on. We're going to have all kinds of guest interviews, all kinds of stuff. So make sure everyone follows us here at the Scrap News. So go ahead, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. We appreciate you guys. So let's go ahead and get into it. Today, on today's menu, we're going to go ahead and talk about, Elimination Chamber. Elimination Chamber just happened. We're going to go ahead and review that. Bobby Lashley shoot hurt. Like, is this dude really going to be out? We're going to find out. Was it really concussion protocols or is it something else? We're going to talk about the biggest free agent news in the sport. Is Stone Cold coming back? And so much more, man. Once again, thank you guys for watching live on the Scrap News YouTube page as well as the Fight Podcast YouTube page. I am Sergio Vicente. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe. All right. Now that we've got that out the way, you guys know who I am. You guys know how we gets down. Now let's go ahead and let you know what we're going to go ahead and get into today. First and foremost, this is nuts. Bobby Lashley, who was at the beginning of the week, the Raw, the men's champion, and we were happy that he just got it at the Royal Rumble. But unfortunately, it seems like the man, the myth, the legend, Bobby Lashley, I mean, it seems like he's out of it right now. He actually really got hurt during the Elimination Chamber where they made it seem like he had concussion protocol. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really seem like it is. So, Kaz from, the Masked Man show, after the Elimination Chamber went out there and said, he's really hurt. His shoulder's actually injured. And it comes to find out that he is actually currently in Birmingham, Alabama, visiting the WWE doctors and will be out roughly 4 months. And that really sucks because as we know, it's not that long to WrestleMania. So it seems like we might not be having Bobby Lashley. So as a fan, I'm not, I'm kind of bummed out, but we'll see what happens and we'll discuss it a little bit later on in the show. All right, moving right along. This is crazy. Stone Cold Steve Austin, the Rattlesnake himself, looks like he might be making a return to the WWE. And it seems like, according to Fightful Select, WWE has made a significant push to go ahead and have the Rattlesnake return against none other than Kevin Owens. And if you guys have been paying attention to Raw or anything over the last couple of weeks, KO has been going absolutely nuts. He's been going nuts on on Texas. He said Texas absolutely sucks. He says he can't stand Texas. He says he despises everything about Texas. And if you know anything about pro wrestling, we all understand that the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, is from Texas. This event is in Texas at Dallas at the AT&T Stadium. So at the end of the day, it seems as if we might get a return of the legendary Stone Cold. Now, this would be crazy because I think it's been something like 19 years since we've seen dude, but last time it seems like he's in shape. So we'll see what happens. I'd love to see Stone Cold personally. So moving right along, and not last but not least, but we have to talk about this. Biggest news of the week, and the only news that realistically could have, in my opinion, stolen the show or stolen, honestly, the top billing of news of the week from Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's, Cody Rhodes actually leaves AEW. That's a huge deal for a number of reasons, and honestly, we'll get into some of the ramifications later on in the show, but it was nuts because he did cut a promo not so long ago where it seems as if he wasn't very happy with the way things are going. Seems like he wanted to get, a little bit more cash. He wanted to get, paid like CM Punk, but it wasn't really happening for him. So I don't know if it was a disrespect. I don't know if it was, what else it is, but it seems as if Cody Rhodes isn't going to be with AEW anymore. Obviously, Tony Khan goes ahead, confirms that he made it official. And everybody since that happened said that, man, it looks like we might have Cody Rhodes going to the WWE. And how crazy would it be if Cody Rhodes went out there and actually, could you imagine WrestleMania? We're going out there. Edge already went out there and says he doesn't know who he's going to go out there and face. He sprinkled a little, maybe AJ Styles in the mix, but we could absolutely get the return, of Cody Rhodes. It would be absolutely nuts. We'll talk about the ramifications of that a little later on in the show. But that has to be the biggest news of the week. Everybody who's watching live right now on YouTube, on Fight Podcast, YouTube, on Scrap News, thank you guys so much for joining us on the first episode of the show, man. Really appreciate you guys. One of the biggest things and one of the crazy things about wrestling I've absolutely realized is, this feels like March Madness. This time of year, like, I have seen some of the best wrestling that I've ever seen. AEW's killing it. And one thing that I had to ask one of my people, one of my friends, one of my, sisters from another mister was, why is this happening? Why are we getting so much amazing wrestling this time of year? So what I did before we go ahead and talk about all the WrestleMania and all the things that, are lining up for this, let's go ahead and bring her on the show. Coming on the show is my sister from another mister. She is somebody who knows the ins and outs of pro wrestling. She is, she's my pinch hitter. She's the ringer. She's the one that I get when I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. My sister, Miss Drede, what is going on? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the first episode.
We in here. We are in here. The Royal Rundown. I love it.
Absolutely.
And I'll be all of those things you called me, even though we don't know what those are. All of that. All that.
We working on it. Well, look, I appreciate you coming on because we have so much to talk about. Now, as I originally stumbled through all the original topics today, it was all in in hoping for this moment to happen where we can really get into the nitty gritty and all this news. And one thing that you told me, and we talked about this before, and for those who do not know, and actually, Ms. Dreda, you have worked, within the shield of WWE. You know the inner workings. You've been there. You've seen what has happened, at least for a little bit of time. And it's interesting how this time of year is so exciting. Could you kind of speak on really quick on why wrestling seems like it's picking up right now in all organizations?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously the industry leader, WWE, so everything kind of molds around WWE and what's going on around in their calendar. And it is officially WrestleMania season. WrestleMania is coming up in just a few weeks. You know what I mean? And not just WWE's products, but everybody's, all the indies as well as AEW, everything just seems to ramp up around this time of year just because the most eyes are on the wrestling industry at this particular time of year. Wrestling doesn't have an off season. There is no off season for
Nah.
them. It always continues to stop. And about the beginning of the year on to about, right around now in WrestleMania, everything is kind of
Facts.
building towards that. A lot of indie shows will have shows around WrestleMania, wherever the WrestleMania is at that particular time. They'll throw shows around there on that week or during that weekend because there's so many people coming from all over the world, all over the country, to see wrestling. And these are the diehards of the diehards, right? Not your just, casual here and there. The diehards are going to Mania. Diehards are going to come there for the week and do all of the events. So one of the reasons why it just feels like everybody's having their A game right now, it's the road to WrestleMania.
I mean, they do.
All the way around.
Well, it's great. It really is great. And it's one of those things that, I mean, dude, for those who know me, I'm not an AEW guy, I'm getting better. Like the moment my man Keith Lee popped up, okay, you have my attention. But we're getting it. But WrestleMania stuff is looking crazy. AEW has been nuts. I mean, even Raw has been notoriously bad for the last few
Raw
months.
is a difficult show to watch because it's 3 hours long. It is just even those of us who adore wrestling, it's just like, and we're still watching. It is still on. And it just takes a lot out of you. There's just a lot of wrestling to watch in general.
Right.
And so, it's really, thankfully it's 2022 and we have DVRs and we have,
Absolutely.
streaming and all of these other things that allow us to kind of get things in as we want to. But there's just a lot to watch. There's a lot to keep up with, and makes our jobs a lot of fun because there's always something to cover.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're gonna go ahead and spend a couple minutes for everybody who's listening on each one of these topics. Okay, we're gonna keep the party rolling because we do have so much to get into, and it's late. Yeah, I'm drinking coffee, but it's late for y'all. I'm trying to be respectful. So you know what I'm saying. So let's get into this. Originally, WrestleMania title matches are set. And for those who do not know, I'm going to go ahead and read them off. And we can go ahead and have a little fun with them. But champ versus champ, obviously we have Brock versus Roman for the 20th time. SmackDown women's belt, we have Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Raw women's belt, we have 26 seconds. I swear to you, it better be more than 26 seconds. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair. Rey and Dominic Mysterio versus The Miz. And look, I do not care what you guys think about the Paul brothers. Those white boys know how to make money. And I am not mad, and I'm excited about the promo that they cut. But Dom and Rey versus The Miz and Logan Paul, that's going to be awesome. And the last one that we don't really have yet is Edge versus to be announced. And I want to get your thoughts on that one first. So Edge goes out there and does a little sprinkle. Let me ask you this.
That's a great way to put it. That's exactly what
it is. I mean, after his promo, where do you think we go from here?
First of all, I would be remiss if I didn't say that. Listen, Edge's promo last night on Raw was amazing.
It was awesome.
It was such a reminder of like, and that's why we get geeked when Edge comes to town. Like that's why we've been fans of Edge since we could remember, right? Just a great promo.
I agree.
Obviously, with the Cody Rhodes news that you mentioned, he sprinkled a little bit of that dashingness in there. The one that stuck, though, for me is the phenomenal tease. And so, I mean, it's got to be Edge versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. And you can already, and the cool thing about Mania and the cool thing about having two veterans like Edge and AJ Styles in this match is that they don't need titles. Like, they don't need a title to make that match feel like a big deal. That's a dream match. Who would have thought? I mean, 5 seconds ago, we thought Edge was retired because of injury forever. So we never thought we would actually get an Edge versus AJ Styles match, and we're gonna probably get it.
Which is amazing. Which honestly,
it's a potential night stealer too. I mean, depending on what day they put it on, it's a 2-day WrestleMania again, which is also great.
If that's on night one, that absolutely steals the show. It just really easily can. Oh, I cannot wait. Well, let's go ahead there because that was the to be determined. That's one because honestly, I'm with you. I would love if that was Cody Rhodes. I would love that. But you made a good point when we spoke. Beforehand. If they saved him for that Raw afterwards,
Raw after Mania,
I would get it. I would absolutely respect it, and it would be just as exciting. So
It would
I'm
be a
down
really
for
dope
that.
reset because Raw
Yes.
after Mania is kind of what that is, right? So a lot of times
Absolutely.
they've been building it for like a reset, and they like to debut new stars and people coming up from
For sure.
NXT and whatever can happen. I mean, I think the Raw after Mania for Cody Rhodes' debut, if he is indeed coming back to WWE, would be perfect, and it would take up all the news for the week.
Oh,
it would
hell
be
yeah,
great.
they would own the news cycle that week if they went ahead and did that. So let me ask you this. Let's move on from that for a second, and we have a great question, especially regarding the champion versus champion match. All right, so I'm thinking about this and I'm looking at it. Do we think the champ versus champ matchup is a title unification, and the WWE will bring back the heavyweight title? This is me, in my opinion alone. I'm gonna go ahead and let you rock out in a second. Yo, 1000%. Yes, title versus title. They love Roman. I love Roman. We all love our tribal chief. Absolutely, we're going to go ahead and give it to him. I love it. It's the perfect opportunity to do so. We have had Brock as a full-timer which has been fantastic. And he is, Brock is been phenomenal recently. This face Brock, it has the farmer Brock, whatever you want to call him.
Farmer fun face Brock.
Farmer fun face Brock is the shit. Okay. Like, I love every aspect of it. He's great. And he's really, you can tell he's loving the character, but I know you're not going to have him for that much longer. So if you've had him for this much time, he's going back and forth. He wants to go back to Saskatchewan. So at the end of the day, I'm looking at it. I think Brock is going to end up taking an L on that one, but I do believe it is going to be for unification. I do. What do you believe?
So great question. I go back and forth with this. Obviously, Roman's winning. Like that I know. I definitely think that Roman is winning. The difficult part with a title versus title match is you have this person, you have this talent running around with these two belts for however long, and then either someone's got to beat him for one of them, or like you said, you unify it and then bring back another or create a new or whatever. WWE has so much history with all of these belts. So they have a lot of options at what they can do. I did not think about this one though, in terms of unifying one and then bringing back another. That is, shout out to Joey. That's a great question. That's a really good thought. It kind of brings more thoughts, especially they have such a huge roster, right? So like, why not do that? The only thing is like, the kind of wrestling traditionalist, I have a little bit of that in me, is that I do think there are too many titles in general. There's too many championships in general. And I feel like
talk about it.
I feel like that they can, having one heavyweight championship for both the men and the women would be really great, because it almost just raises the stakes for everything else. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't make it feel like, oh, the draft happens. Well, I guess they can go for the other title since they lost the other one. We don't have those issues where you draft the Raw champion to SmackDown and the SmackDown champion to Raw. Now they got to just hand the titles to each other, which I just think is so.
I don't like it.
It's weak, right? Like this is a wrestling show. We should be wrestling for stuff, right?
So 1000%.
You know what I mean? So
1000%.
I just feel like it would be fun as a wrestling fan. That would be really fun to watch some unifications and then really see the top of the card, those talents really duke it out for, okay, who's the best for real.
I love it.
And I think that would be really, really fun to watch. However, we know that TV deals with USA and Fox, and that the business part exists. And that's really why we have two main titles. Facts. Is because each network wants to have a big title.
Facts. No, I love it. Okay, real quick, let's talk about the two women championships. We have obviously the SmackDown championship with Charlotte versus Ronda, and the one that I can't lie to you, I'm a little bit more invested in, if I'm going to be honest. The one Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair.
That's our one. Like I'm saying,
go. You can go ahead and run with it, because at the end of the day, I look at it. We were SummerSlam last year, left the worst taste in my mouth. I was just getting into pro wrestling again. I'm like, I found somebody that I actually connect with, and then 26 seconds. What? Are you kidding, fam? Yeah. So that is the match that I'm most looking forward to. That is the one that I'm eyeballing, because I'll be honest with you, And if you guys ever watched the Fight Podcast and you guys heard me speak on this before, not the biggest Ronda Rousey fan. Not in terms of just her performance, but even in terms of wrestling, I don't think she's that great on the mic. I think she's good. I think she has potential, but she just seems rusty. So maybe within the next couple months, maybe she won't look as clunky and she'll kind of like, smooth it out a little bit. But in fact, if she keeps working, go to Shayna Baszler, hang out with Shayna some more. Make sure you get back at it. She's a beast. She's an absolute beast. So and honestly, I think Charlotte is one of the best of the best. So elite. that match, I think she's gonna go ahead and do her thing. She's gonna do, and honestly, I think Charlotte wins that one as well. What do you feel? Excitement level. We'll keep it quick with this. Excitement level for each of these two events.
Charlotte versus Ronda should be good. It'll be good. Ronda Rousey is, regardless of like personal feelings about how both of us aren't the hugest fans of her in general, but she's an athlete and she does not like not looking good. Like, let's be clear, right? So
be very clear.
We're gonna answer this question
in 1 second. I'm sorry, guys.
She's gonna come out there and she's gonna be prepared and she's gonna. I think the match with Charlotte is going to be. It's going to be really good to great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Charlotte, it's hard for Charlotte to have
Charlotte's good to because Charlotte is so great. She really say what you want about Charlotte, and I know a lot of people don't like Charlotte. I
she's
think
doing her job.
She's doing her job. If we're looking at the best heels in the sport, I know a lot of people talk about MJF. He's number one between Roman and MJF. We need to go out there and throw Charlotte's name in the mix. She is a fantastic heel. Now she does some things that are questionable. Charlotte is great. Charlotte. I don't care what nobody says.
Charlotte is great, and let's be clear, like she gets her love because she's been this good at being a heel for quite some time now.
Very long time.
So I think that match is going to be good. It's going to be entertaining. It's good to great, even honestly. And I think all the rest and stuff that we talk about with Ronda, I think that'll all be gone by the time WrestleMania comes. I
respect that. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. I can see it.
Bianca Belair versus Becky Lynch. This is the one. This is the one we sit up for.
Yes.
This is the one we're gonna have, our extra beverage and our extra snacks for. We're gonna be ready for this one. You know what I'm saying? Because all we really want, we want Bianca to get her win back. She needs to get her win back, and she's gonna have her title. And we're gonna get her title back at WrestleMania. Hopefully, another main event, which would be really dope. That'd be 2 for 2 for her at WrestleMania also.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
And it's time. I think this Becky Lynch heel version of her that they really tried, like the best way to get her to be a heel is have her be a face that everybody loves in 26 seconds. That was the whole point. And like, although people have still been cheering for Becky because Becky is a very likable character for the fans. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think the best way to kind of like, all right, I don't want to call it an experiment, but like, all right, let's draw a line under this version of Becky by having Bianca gain her respect, right, as well. Because I think the promos they cut out on Raw was really great and actually told the beginning of that story, or not the beginning, but like a nice crutch of that story. So now we know
I wish I had
what we're fighting for. Yeah.
So
now we know what we're fighting for, and I think it'll be great. Like I think it'll be great. Those two are high caliber wrestlers. Bianca is a star like we're really watching a high level, in my personal opinion, a Rock, John Cena level star in the making right now. Like she is that, and it's so great. Obviously, it helps that we can relate to her on all kinds of different levels as well. But it's just one of the coolest things about
my hairs are the same length. Yes, my hair is just like hers.
Hello.
Like when I take this down and I get to it's my girl.
It's just great. It's like that's one of the dopest things about watching pro wrestling is watching a high level star like getting there, like watching the rise. That was the coolest thing about watching Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and everything.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I just saw this comment, and you and I think are in absolute agreement with this.
Oh yeah, we're not disagreeing with you, Katie. You are absolutely right. The boss is the boss. Period. Point blank.
Just that. And when I saw that up there, I had to like. I was like, I hope I didn't seem like I was like be really fanning on no girl like that. Like I had to make sure.
All day.
All right. All right. Really quick. That's that, and that's great. I cannot wait to see if they continue on the trajectory that they have been, and they keep this same energy for the next couple months and continue building and really, like I said, building, these storylines and do something that the WWE historically hasn't done, and give the fans what they want a little bit. If they just maybe one or two things, let us have it. We would literally like, the funniest thing about, I swear, WWE fans is this. It's like even myself, again, I am saying I am new again. I am fresh. I have such a love-hate relationship with the WWE right now. It is nuts. So
every time he complains, our text thread is very like, yo, what are they doing? I'm like, I know, welcome to the you're here. We know. Just wait on it. Let it play out. We don't know. I don't have any confidence on whether it is or isn't. I don't know. You just never know.
All right, so moving right along, because there is a lot to get into. And guys, everybody who is watching live right now on the Scrap News, watching live right now on the Fight Podcast, thank you guys so much. If you like what you see, go ahead and share it, okay? Share, subscribe, like, man. And I'm telling you, check out the Scrap News if you want legitimate, really dope articles, dope media coverage, dope journalists. If for combat sports, that is exactly where you go. I'm telling you, I have a thing with like journalists sometimes in this industry. I mean, these people have a lot of integrity, and that's something I appreciate. So salute to the Scrap News and everything they represent. Let's keep the party going. Moving right along. So Bobby Lashley, we talked about at the top of the show. And again, let me go ahead and bring, the man back up. He was injured. Bobby was injured, recently, and he was shoot injured. And I have to ask you this. How does Bobby Lashley's injury affect not only the WWE title picture, but how does it affect, Mania as a whole?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the biggest effect is that the fact we're having a title versus title match at WrestleMania. So it's not, you're not having two main titles for the men being defended at WrestleMania. It's just one match for both titles. So it's got
for sure
that's the largest implication right there. Two, we got to shout out Bobby Lashley, because literally he's been a champion twice now in the last year and some change. And he carried that. He carried Raw for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was a long time coming for Bobby, and he really held his own and did a great job. He's a great champion. And so I do think that I appreciate that WWE wanted to protect him and protect his, injury and stuff, instead of just having him like relinquish the title before the match or any like that. They scripted the, concussion situation before he got out of the pod for the Elimination Chamber, which I think was the right thing. The only little, criticism I have is that I do wish they would have scripted some way to have another wrestler take his place in the pod, so that you give some shine to another person on the roster. Even if we know Brock was going to just run wild and win, they still could have, somebody else could have got that, that payday, that shine, that whatever, and really make it kind of close between Brock and whoever that person was. And then that could have, added some fun nuance to the conversation. But other than that, I think it was really the way it affects Mania and the title picture is really just molds everything into one thing. And that kind of takes away other opportunities for other talent, what I'm saying, that are in that upper mid card or upper card in general to have.
And we've talked about that recently also. And not only have we, you and I discussed this, but I think that has been a conversation in terms of, honestly, in WWE recently, like, yo, you guys are literally just, serving 2 to 3 people and leaving so many people out in the water and to the dry. I mean, think about Big E, somebody that while he was, first of all, the most terrible title reign in WWE history. Oh my God. It was just
so extra.
I mean, he lost 9 times. He lost 9 times in his title reign. Okay, let's remember that. He loses 9 times in his title reign. And one issue that I personally had with it is that this dude was such an amazing ambassador for the sport during that time. And they didn't go out there and actually give him anything else. So you're going out there also, and this is another big issue that I have, is this. They have made it so that Brock Lesnar looks invincible. And he, at the end of the day, it diminishes everybody else all the rest of their top stars. The fact that Brock Lesnar, and this is, I think, my biggest gripe with the Elimination Chamber. Okay, Brock gets a little, a little testy. He kicks the wall down. He goes out there and does his thing. He ends up, but the manner that he just flexes everybody, and the way that is just, it's not even hard. It diminishes your product.
He's final boss. I think he's a whole final. He's a whole final boss.
Here's the thing. But here's my thing. Once he gets that, if that's the case, if he is the final boss, like you say he is, if Roman beats him, just let him be the champion for the next 500 days, because you've already proven that can't nobody beat Brock. So if can't nobody beat Brock, can't nobody beat Roman.
Well, and to go along with what you're saying is, my thing is, I don't mind building up a final boss or two. What I worry about is you have to simultaneously
talk about it,
build up someone who we can believably believe they might be able to beat the final boss, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of like Brock when he beat the Undertaker's streak, right? So that was kind of Brock's role. He was this unbeaten, like kicking everybody's tail, whatever. He had he suffered some losses with John Cena and I think Triple H. Don't get me. I'm not. I'd have to fully off memory. in his first version of his comeback, but then after those losses, right? Then he just kept throwing folks around whenever he showed up until Taker versus Brock, and then he beats the streak. Once he beat the streak, he became this boss. My thing is, who's the next person underneath Brock?
It's interesting you said this is a great point.
Roman to do that.
Right. So she's saying, Katie just said WWE is focused on building new talent more than ever before. Success at the expense of their very talented roster members. It's absolutely true. They're like cutting off their, what's that saying? Cutting off your face in spite of yourself or some nonsense.
Something like that.
It's something like that, right? It's some old school saying that my granddaddy used to say. But but whatever that saying is, it's like they're really cannibalizing. I am. I'm a year older, and I all of a sudden
he's pulling out old people sayings.
I woke up a 90-year-old man. Absolutely. But it is interesting. It's like they're cannibalizing their roster. Like, could you imagine at Elimination Chamber if you had or a prime example with the lack of tag teams? Could you imagine if Swerve and Top Dollar was still around? Could you imagine that? Could you imagine? So that is my issue.
In the way that I'm still mourning that.
I understand. They're cannibalizing themselves, but
even like we mentioned Big E. Big E would have been a perfect person to take Bobby Lashley's place in the chamber. There was already history with the day one triple threat. Or
say that again.
5-person threat. I can't even call it a triple threat anymore. It was 5 people in that match. But like there was already, it was already there, and you could have easily made that believable. He didn't have to win. He could still have looked strong in defeat, but still it's training us, the fans, to go, he's on this level with, he's on this level. And so we should be able to watch out. But I feel like, he's not done. I feel like that's going to come back around. WWE has a bajillion hours of TV to fill. So there's time. There's time for all of it.
Well, let's go ahead and move right along, because we do have a bunch of stuff. And even though I can talk, because I think people like E and those people, this is an interesting topic. So it's a go on. But let's go ahead and move on, because the secondary topic that, again, this is one of the biggest things out there, is the possibility of Stone Cold Steve Austin, after 19 years, actually coming back and competing. So let me ask you this. Oh, wrong one. Do we actually think he's coming back? Is this a real thing, or is the WWE doing WWE things and playing with us? What is happening?
Yeah, you talked about this time of year being just craziness, and we've already discussed about that. And this is also a time of year where so many different random stories get planted, and we don't know what's true and what's not. And even reputable sources are like, "Yep, I got worked by that too," because whatever, right? So, as I've said to you in your lovely, reemergence as a wrestling fan, literally anything is possible. So
anything is possible.
I'm LeBron. I'm saying? Like, I always thought that Stone Cold was going to be the only one to actually, when he retired, he was done. He wasn't going to ever do a comeback. He wasn't going to do it. Well, Taker didn't, Taker kind of whatever Taker did. Taker did a lot of things. Undertaker did a lot of things. Shawn Michaels, I was also the other one, but he came back for a Saudi Arabia show. And it did not go well, but he did. And
my man was in shape though.
We're just, of course, it's not that he couldn't physically do it. It was just the match didn't go very well. My fear is that's, if Stone Cold decides to come back, like it would be one of those. I don't think anybody's really, if Stone Cold Steve Austin, that man, decides that he's going to get into a ring, it's going to only be because he feels like he can give the fans what they can give. That is one of the things that Stone Cold, we know for facts about him. He's not going to go out in a ring not able to give us a show that he feels is a good caliber show, right? A good caliber match, whatever it is. So I'm going to say I'm like 65, 70-ish% sure that I think this might happen. The other reports are like there's like another Stone Cold level surprise coming soon. And the only other person is The Rock, right? Like that's the only
other one.
Goldberg came back already, did the job, did the Roman thing, did his job. I think it was perfect. I was like, that couldn't have gone better.
You know
right?
what? The more I think about that one specifically, right? The more I think about that specific match itself, because at first I was like, you gonna like tap, Goldberg out like that, and it just seemed kind of anticlimactic. But it is the best way that you respectfully save your legend without making him look bad. You gave him, he had a couple good spears. He had the bigger moments, right? He had the two big spears. You gave him his pop, you gave him his moment. But look, I'm the tribal chief. It's too much. I'm sorry. And he played the hits. Not mad at it at all.
The hits. Yeah. Everything you ever want to see from Goldberg, you saw it, and then we moved on. Now
perfect. I'm going to say this. Because you said 65. You're at 65%. Yes.
Yes. We'll see. Yeah, I'm still.
Man, I'm at like a solid 90% right now.
You're at a solid 90. You're at a solid 90.
You got call me a mark, okay? Because I'm over here.
That's the point. You're supposed to have fun with it. Let's
Kevin Owens cutting these promos, saying everything that I feel about Texas out loud, and he's doing his thing. Like, I am loving every second of it. Let's go. And the way that he's putting it's everything about it is a beautiful thing. It makes sense. And the other guy who uses the stunner, it is a beautiful thing. Nobody works and does this thing, and no one takes an L like Kevin Owens. Okay. And the thing is, I don't need Stone Cold to do like a 15-minute match. I'm fine with him going out there.
And we don't need him jumping off nothing. And we don't need him jumping off nothing. That is a perfect opponent for him if he's coming back.
That's it.
KO can scrap with you. We already know Stone Cold is gonna grapple with you as well. Like it. I'm here for the glass breaking and the pop when that music hits. Like that's what I'm here for. I need at least one good stunner from a man. And the shutout. And we're gonna all just be, and we'll all be 12 years old again. It'll be lit. Like it'll be great.
I love it. I love it.
I'm hoping for it. My brain just won't let me get past are we sure? Like I just can't get past it.
I know. It's always rough, and it's like one of those like we've been got before. So it is what it is. All right, moving right along, and again, though everyone who's watching live right now, go ahead and if you like what you're listening to, give the video itself a like, and please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And you know what? Go ahead and subscribe to both channels. Why not?
Yes.
All right, moving right along. Let's talk about this because this is the only other news that realistically could have superseded the news of Stone Cold coming back, and that is that Brandy and Cody Rhodes are leaving AEW. But my question is this, because this is, I think, a more in-depth question, is that with the two of them leaving AEW, not only how does that affect AEW, how does that affect the entire industry? Because he's somebody, the two of them were so integral of building that company. He was literally the cosign.
Yeah, he's a founder. He was an EVP. Brandy was the chief branding officer. It's very. I am very rarely like completely shocked.
Yeah,
but I was actually like, that was one of those news. I was like, oh, like that was a very shocking thing. Cody's a polarizing figure in AEW. The fans have kind of turned on him about a year ago, I'll say. They turned on him. He was, before he was getting the face pops that he was giving. He was supposed to be getting, right? And then the fans kind of turned on him after the Anthony Ogogo feud. And, he had a questionable promo about, ending racism and all that. And like, to his credit, like,
I forgot about that.
Tone deaf is the best way I would put it. I don't necessarily think he realized, like, his heart was in the right place. He was really trying to do that the whole nationalist feud, the whole America versus the UK thing, is a wrestling trope from, that's older than all of us, right? So and Cody loves those older things, and that's what he was trying to do. Kind of missing that the current context of that, and the fact that Anthony Ogogo is a black man, although he's from the UK, is like that. It just didn't sit right with a lot of fans, and it just didn't work. So I don't think that had anything to do with him leaving, though. I really think that was just a pure money thing. That's my personal opinion. I think him and Tony Khan just cannot come to a contract agreement.
I think you're right.
Tony and them have signed some major deals with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. Specifically, I'm pretty sure they got a nice bag, both of them.
No, they got all of the bag. In fact, they got so much bag, Cody couldn't have nothing left.
Cody didn't get the bag he wanted, right? Like, and I think it changes AEW in a few ways. I think number one, it opens up a upper mid card space. Cody is an upper mid, was an upper card really person, right? So it opens up that space for someone to really float right in there, right? So I think that someone in AEW, that talent is probably, just gritting their teeth and licking their lips, ready to get into that, right? And so that's really cool for the talent. Same thing with Brandy Rhodes, because she was also talent in front of the camera as well. In terms of the industry, AEW has been talking about this forbidden door, and WWE and just the pro wrestling in general, about people from other companies showing up for other companies, and doing their events. And this, if we're right, if Cody does make a comeback to WWE, this will be the first time someone from AEW goes to WWE, because we've had several from WWE go to AEW. This will officially, to me, everyone's got really excited when AEW came about the whole bringing back the Monday Night Wars and, the Attitude Era, like the whole WCW, WWE thing, right?
I see where you're going with this.
If that happens, then I think we really have a door for that. Because realistically, AEW can't sign everybody.
True.
They can't.
They cannot.
Right?
They cannot.
Tony got all.
They better
Tony got
sign Swerve, though. They better sign Swerve.
It would be in their best interest, wouldn't it? They can't. Realistically, they can't sign everybody. People's contracts are expiring, et cetera, et cetera. And so, it's not unheard of for WWE to be looking at. I mean, the rumor is they love MJF, they love Jade Cargill, and I think that at any moment in time, offers are. You can't tell me offers have not been thrown, hinted at, emailed, etc. The other way. You can't tell me that hasn't. So I just think that Cody, this first big, I don't want to call it deflection, but because it's a contract expiring situation, but this first one, I think changes the industry. I don't want to say changes the industry, but opens the door back up, because that's a door that was made stuff interesting in the 90s and the 2000s for us. So I just think it brings it back. Everything's coming back full circle, and that doesn't change in this industry either.
Okay, well, look, that's it's interesting because, like you said, I think there's so many ramifications for, what trickles down from this.
Right?
Who is going to step up and take that place for Cody in AEW? Where does he fit in WWE with the type of guy, the type of presence that he brings? Do they put him? Is he a top 5 guy right away? And that's something that he should be. If you really think about it, if you bring him back, he will have so much.
But my question is where? Like, my question is, like, honestly, it's one of those things I really sat back and thought about it. I'm like, okay, Cody against who? I was watching. Everybody was watching Raw last night going, is this Cody? Is this Cody? Is this Cody? Because he can technically come now. He can show up anywhere. AEW doesn't have that 90-day non-complete clause like WWE does. So he can show up anywhere. Yeah.
Well, and I love it. And
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him somewhere else before we see him in WWE. I wouldn't be surprised if on the internet he pops up at Ring of Honor or something. Like, you just never know.
Well, while we're on this topic and we're about to get out of here, and everybody who's been watching live, thank you guys so much for joining us on the show today. Our first episode of the Royal Rundown this week in pro wrestling. One thing we were going to talk a little bit about is not just Mania fantasy booking, because we're talking about the possibility of it. And I'm looking in the comments right now. We got some good ones over here too. So what I got to ask you is this: like I said, we're talking about some fantasy booking. I mean, this has to be the fantasy booking of fantasy booking. Jade versus Bianca Belair. Come on. Like, that is
sign me up, take my money. I'm there. What? Come on.
So let's that's one fantasy. That's one, fantasy booking matchup. Let's talk about one now that we're looking for that you would love to see leading up to this Mania. I'm gonna keep bringing some of these up, and if you guys have fantasy bookings that you want us to pull up and talk about, because these are actually pretty dope. So let me know. Like I said, I want to see what you guys think.
Man, that Jade versus Bianca. I mean, come on, that'd be dope. My only thing is, I actually would prefer. I mean, like, I want to see Jade versus Bianca in 2 years.
Just talking about this.
I want to see Jade versus Bianca in 2 years, I think, because Jade is still brand new, right? I would Jade
Bianca will be a star.
Jade versus Sasha, though. A Jade versus Sasha Banks, though. Because Sasha's a ring general. Thank you, Katie. See, she's with me. She sees it. She sees the vision. Sasha's a ring general. Sasha can make just about anybody look great. Jade is picking up this business, Kurt Angle style, like, just quick, just craziness, right? So I think
the way they're doing her, the way they're handling her character is perfect. They're really doing a great job over there.
What I said about Bianca, right? By us watching a high level star be actually built and grow, is exactly what they're doing with Jade, right? And I think that is exactly how, when you see someone who's a star, build them, make them look great. This is a predetermined situation, right? This is sports entertainment, if you will, right?
1,000%. Let them know.
You are able to make these things happen in ways that make sense. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, building Jade the way they have is honestly some of the best, like, stuff I've seen, and we're just going to continue to watch that woman just soar. She's amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, obviously, if we're doing fantasy booking, and I don't think that it's going to happen this year, but I do think it might be next year's WrestleMania, especially if we do get Stone Cold this year and we do get the Unified Champion. Come on, we're going to keep with this bloodline. And we know Roman Reigns is the head of the table, the head of the, you know what I'm saying? The head of the table, the leader of the family. He has put food on all of their tables, even his cousin, because he was in his movie, and I know he asked him to be in that damn movie. So that is the.
You talking about triple Big Oos? You talking about big Oos?
I'm talking about Big Oos. Okay, I'm talking about
the biggest Oos.
G Oos. Okay, that's who I want. I want the biggest Oos against the head of the table. That is my personal
Sergio,
fantasy booking. Yes.
Are you ready for this little tidbit? I'm not sure if you know yet, but you do know that WrestleMania next year is in Hollywood, California. It would kind of be perfect. So would he. Look, him too, right? Right? Like,
absolutely.
I think that would be perfect. I
would love it.
Again, a little fantasy booking here. I would love Rock to either pop up at the very end of Mania, after Roman has both belts up, and we just hear "If You Smell," and just they don't say a word. We just get the stare down from the ramp and boom, pow, pow. Love that. Or Raw after. I want that. I need that. We can do a year build.
Why don't you still work with them? They need you. The WWE and NXT needs you.
It was a good time. I mean, listen, I think that would be great. I think we all want that. We all need that in our lives. We do. I think that'd be great. Somebody said MJF versus who? What was that?
Yes,
I missed it.
The MJF versus the Miz. I mean, yes. I'm here for it. I'm absolutely here for it. I love it.
Promos would be obnoxious as hell, but in all the best
it'd be amazing.
ways.
in all of the best ways.
That'd be
I
great.
love it. Let me ask you guys this, and anybody else who wants to go ahead and chime in. We're about to shut it down real quick, guys. But let me ask you this: for celebrity match, obviously we are. Who is going to be the person, the celebrity that pops up? Obviously, we already know my man Bad Bunny, Boricua, que lo que hay. He gonna jump in there. We already know that. Okay. First of all, Bad Bunny is the greatest celebrity wrestler of all time. All right. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna stand on it. All right. So that's
I can't think of a better one personally. So no. Yeah, I'm with it. I can't think of anybody. I'm like, nope. Yep. Yeah. I can't think of anybody.
Obviously he's going to be in it. But let me ask you this: what celebrity sighting will we see? Obviously, aside from Logan.
Aside from Logan, I think that's our celebrity, my G. I think that's the one. I can't. They haven't. I mean, we had the little thing with Sami Zayn and the Jackass folks, right? But that already happened, and I think they've kind of killed. I think they've ended that. Drew a line on it. Sami Zayn's our new Intercontinental Champion, which I think is great.
Yo, that is great.
I think it's great.
Seriously.
What I'm actually, speaking of kind of like things up in the air, who's his Mania opponent? Well, I think we'll start. I think we'll turn the wheels on that on
Jackass.
It better not be.
All right, guys. Well, check it out. That is honestly about all the time that we do have for the day, man. Everybody's watched live. Thank you guys so much, and we are going to talk about so much because honestly, we do this each and every week after NXT, and honestly, NXT. I'm gonna say this about NXT because I did see this right here.
NXT 2.0.
NXT 2.0. I don't care what anybody says. It is fun. I enjoy it, and I like what they're currently doing. It like, the last couple. I mean, you get everything from Grayson Waller and LA Knight, what they're currently doing right now. You obviously, come on, man. Carmelo Hayes, my man, shoots. You know what I'm saying?
Melo and Trick, man, are the greatest.
I love
they are so fun. They are so fun. Yeah,
it's a lot of fun right now. And obviously free agent wise, Swerve is still out there. Top dollars available. And when all these people are really getting picked up, we will talk about it. Really quick before we get out of here. And I would and Dre, could you do me a favor and just kind of rapid fire this for me?
Absolutely.
What upcoming fights, or should I say, event are you looking forward to? So it's like, what you got?
Yeah, first things first, man. AEW Revolution is March 6th. Yo, get AEW.
That's coming up quick.
It's real fast. Right now, the matches that we know are happening is a tag team turmoil for the tag team championships. Jurassic Express currently is the tag champs. That should be fun. I don't like their tag team division is actually a robust and wonderfully fun one.
Like WWE could have.
It's really, really great. There is also we've got CM Punk versus MJF in the dog collar match, which should be brutal as all get out. And again, bananas. And then the third match that they have confirmed at this point is the Face of the Revolution ladder match that has 3 participants in it so far. And I think there's going to be 2 more by the time we get to March 6th. The 3 we have, though, are Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, and Keith Lee. This is a ladder match for all kind of
big men slapping meat together there. Oh my God.
For a chance. This ain't even for the title. This is for the chance at the TNT title. Sammy Guevara, poor baby. Like, I feel really bad for him.
Sammy's not beating any of those 3. I'm sorry.
And we still have 2 more to add to that match, I think. And like, let's be clear. That is going to be a really fun match. Like, like you said, that's a lot of man in that match. There's just lots of so much. So that should be really fun. And then obviously we've got WrestleMania coming up right after that. Honestly, those are the 2 big things coming up. Definitely check out New Japan Pro Wrestling's had some really cool events happening. They're doing more in North America as well. So definitely want to check them out. And then, we've talked about how great all wrestling is right now. Impact Wrestling is really fun to watch. That is probably the easiest wrestling show you can watch. Like, it doesn't take a lot of effort. It's just one of those things that's like, okay, I'm gonna just watch this and check it out. There's a lot of really dope things happening. A lot of former WWE people are there, whether they started at WWE or not, or came back or whatever. There's a lot of that going on. Forbidden Door and all that jazz.
For sure.
So, my suggestion to everybody, if you haven't checked out any of the lesser known ones, right, definitely check out those companies. There's a lot of wrestling that you can really check out, and there's something for everyone, literally now. Something for everybody.
Love it. I love it. It really is. I've really enjoyed it. And like I said, now that I'm starting to explore out, there are so many different organizations. Like I said, New Japan. We're even seeing some of these like little indie organizations all throughout. The Black-owned indie organizations are
Yeah.
kicking ass right
That
now,
Terminus
and I
event at the
love
end
it.
of this month
That
looks like it's going to be
it
great. Like,
looks
what?
amazing. And you know what? Let's do this. I'm gonna have you come back on because for those who know, every Tuesday, guys, every Tuesday. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be here. I'm not doing all the other times because I can't think of it right now, and I've been smoking some weed, so I'm not gonna mess with you. So we're gonna go ahead every Tuesday, 7 p.m. We will be
Pacific
here
Standard
talking
Time.
Pacific Standard Time. We'll be talking about this. But I'll say this: we will break down some of these indie events. So I want you guys to know that we'll break those events down. We're gonna talk about those because some of those guys are really starting to show up in some of these big events and these big organizations, and it's really, really dope to watch, man. So, Ms. Dre Day, thank you so much for joining me on the first episode of the Royal Rundown this week in pro wrestling, right here on the Scrap News. I want to thank everybody at the Scrap News for having us on. I'm really looking forward to this partnership that we have moving forward. Doing this is a lot of fun, and like I said, you don't know Scrap News, guys, you need to go check them out today. One of the best, media outlets out there in all of combat sports. And like I said, Ms. Dre, thank you so much for joining me. And like I said, you are the Fight Podcast, pro wrestling aficionado. So she will be back joining us as well. Thank you guys for everything. Love y'all. We'll see you next Tuesday right here on the Royal Rundown. Love y'all. We got to get this. Peace.